Well, if you've ever been to any kind of a church service, one of the things you probably did was sing songs of worship to God. In fact, singing songs of worship has been part of the tradition of the Christian church since the very beginning. But maybe you might wonder, well, why is that? Because it seems a little strange to sing songs to God. I mean, most of us don't go around through our lives singing to other people. And maybe occasionally, like when you were dating your wife, maybe you sang her a song. But most of us, that's not a normal part of our routine. So why would we do that when it comes to God? Well, let me just give you a few reasons why we sing to God today. First of all, it's biblical. All throughout the Bible, we as believers in God are called to sing songs of praise to Him in response to who He is. As God reveals Himself to us, our natural response is to sing in worship, to lift up who He is and what He has done. And we see this pattern all throughout the Bible. In the Old Testament, a large percentage of it is dedicated to songs of worship to God. The entire book of Psalms is a book of songs of worship to God. Listen here, just a couple. Psalm 95, starting in verse 1. It says, "Come, let us sing to the Lord. Let us shout joyfully to the rock of our salvation. Let us come to Him with thanksgiving. Let us sing psalms of praise to Him. For the Lord is a great God, a great King above all gods." It says God is a great God, and so of course we should come and we should sing to Him. Psalm 98:1 says the same thing. It says, "Sing a new song to the Lord, for He has done wonderful deeds." As we think about the things that the Lord has done, the only response that makes sense is to sing songs of worship to Him. And we should sing new songs, it says, to Him all the time. But it's not just in the Old Testament, and the New Testament says the same things. Look what the Apostle Paul says in the book of Ephesians, chapter 5 and verse 19. He's commanding Christians, and one of the things he commands us to do is this. It says to be filled with the Holy Spirit, singing psalms and hymns and spiritual songs among yourselves, and making music to the Lord in your hearts. We are commanded as Christians to sing psalms and hymns and spiritual songs, to make music in our heart to the Lord. And again, in the book of Colossians, chapter 3 and verse 16, again, it says this, "Let the message about Christ in all of its richness fill your lives." And it goes on to say, "So sing psalms and hymns and spiritual sings to God with thankful hearts." So clearly, one of the things that Christians are commanded to do in the Bible is to sing songs of praise and worship to God. And so the first reason, and really the most important reason why we sing to God, is because the Bible tells us to. But also a second reason why we sing is because singing has a way of moving our hearts in a unique way. Music just touches the heart and the soul in the way that few things can. That's why even in pop culture, when people really are moved, one of the things they will do is they will sing songs. That's why love songs are what they are, because they touch our hearts in a unique way. And so when we sing, it has a way of touching our soul like few other things can. I love you see this connection in Psalm 108 and verse 1. Look what David said. He says, "My heart is confident in you. O God, no wonder I can sing your praises with all of my heart." You see, the response of his heart, because he has this confidence in God, he says, well, no wonder I sing in my heart because I recognize who God is. Again, in response to the reality of God's revelation to us, our hearts are moved and stirred to sing. Well, finally, one more reason why we sing songs of worship to God is because singing worship gives us a glimpse into heaven. It gives us a glimpse of what eternity will look like in heaven. We are going to spend all of eternity in the very presence of God, and one of the main things we're going to do is we are continually experiencing God in all of His glory, is we are going to be moved to sing and worship. Just listen to these verses found in the book of Revelation, starting in chapter 5, verse 9. This is just a little glimpse into heaven. "And they sang a new song with these words, 'You are worthy to take the scroll and to break its seals and open it.'" In verse 9, "Then I looked again, and I heard the voices of thousands and millions of angels around the throne and of the living beings and the elders. And they sang in a mighty chorus, 'Worthy is the Lamb who was slaughtered.'" And then in verse 13, "And then I heard every creature in heaven and on earth and under the earth and in the sea, and they sang, 'Blessing and honor and glory and power belong to the one sitting on the throne and to the Lamb forever and ever.'" You see, when we worship God, singing isn't the only thing that should be involved in our worship, but singing is a unique way in which we can truly ascribe to God the worth and the honor that is uniquely due to Him. So why don't you go ahead and pause now and discuss these questions.